Hello, I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer with RealTime Fantasy Sports, and welcome to another edition of the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. On today's show, we are doing our position previews. We're up to the receiver spot, and if you've been paying attention, we've been having a lot of the top players from RT Sports join us to do these position previews. We're up to the receiver one, and I have another great player today to join me. It's Todd Yost. He is the 14th ranked player on RT Sports. He won the postseason shootout contest in 2022, took home $50,000 for that big win. He won 60 times last year in our contest as well. So Todd is an unbelievable player. You're going to want to listen to what he has to say about the receiver position. And I'm going to bring him up right now, and you can see for yourself what Todd has to say about the receiver spot. So Todd, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Jeff. Thanks for the invite.
No problem, Todd. I'm looking forward to talking to you about the receiver position there this year. It's always an interesting one. Everybody has different strategies. Do you go early? Do you do the zero running back approach? So I want to know, how do you approach the receiver position come draft day?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's amazing to me how much things have changed over the 30 years I've been doing fantasy. You know, it's been essentially a complete flip because, you know, when I started doing this, you know, running backs would be 11 or 12 of the first round. You know what I mean? Nobody was wide receivers. If you didn't have two running backs by the end of the second round, you felt like you had no chance. So, and I think we've almost gone 180, not quite. I mean, receivers and the passing game in general in the NFL have changed so much with the rule changes, you know, made by the NFL that make it so much easier to pass and so much more logical to do that. I think it's only natural that fantasy followed that trend, and now receivers are probably, you know, the dominant position as opposed to running backs. Not that a great running back isn't still very valuable, but, you know, I think well over half the first round should probably be wide receiver this year, which again would have been blasphemy even probably 10 years ago. So I like, you know, like everybody else, I still have to get myself out of that running back mode sometimes, but yeah, I mean, I feel like probably 7 of the best 9 players this year are wide receivers. So I'm taking one early, and, you know, used to be, and my flex was always going to be a running back, but now that's changed. I think, you know, wide receivers probably are a better bet for your flex because you can get more value, you know, higher. So, yeah, it's been a interesting change, and I like it. I like the passing game. I think scoring's up, and, you know, the NFL scores more and fantasy scores more, and that's what you want.
I think you follow a similar approach to me, Todd, with how it sounds. I still want to get one of those elite backs, but like you said, it's changed a lot. So I'm totally fine with going receiver in the first round. I want at least a number one receiver on my roster after the first 3 rounds. Most likely it's after the first 2 rounds. But again, it always depends where you're picking. But for the most part, I'm going to get that elite receiver in one of the first 2 rounds. And I think there's a lot of great options this year, and we're going to go into them now as well. So let's talk about early round targets. I know the elite guys, you want CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson, but who are some of these early round targets that you're kind of looking at to get on your roster? Maybe after that, you know, those first 3 guys are off the board. Who do you like? Because I think it's kind of jumbled up after that.
I think it is. Yeah, you're right. And I mean, there's a lot of guys I think you could name that have good situations or better situations than they did. I mean, I think Drake London is a guy who's been going, you know, way higher than I thought he would even. I liked him a lot, especially with the Cousins move and, you know, Penix going there. So I think their quarterback situation is going to be so much more vastly improved. Even if Cousins isn't ready, you know, I think they're going to have a better quarterbacking situation than they had last year. So I really feel like he's a guy, but, you know, the early drafts I've been doing, everybody else feels that way too, apparently, because he's going, he's not even making it back to the bottom of the second round usually most of the time. So I don't know how many leagues I'm going to have him in, but I really like his opportunity this year to, you know, have a breakout year and be a high guy. Another guy I think is Pittman, you know what I mean, in Indianapolis. And, you know, he was great anyway, but it's his kind of hinges on Anthony Richardson and how good he's going to be as a passer. But I think, you know, he's got a good chance this year to break out even more than he has already.
It's ironic you say that because Pittman actually made the list for me as well, because I'm the same way. I felt like last year Gardner Minshew was the QB. I just think the situation's better for Pittman last year, and he was 5th overall in fantasy and receptions last year. So if Richardson takes his game to a new level, if he doesn't take off and run a ton, I think that's what kind of comes down to. But I really like Pittman a lot, especially for the price. I feel like he's kind of fallen maybe a little bit after some of those elite guys. So I'm all over him for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
I know we talked a little bit about, you said about Jefferson, but I got to be honest with you. I feel like he's being vastly undervalued as well, even though he's one of the great, receivers in the game. I think, people might be overthinking, the injury last year and the quarterback situation, because, I mean, the guy only played 10 games. He still had over 1,000 yards. I mean, and he's dropping to me in some drafts, 7, 8, 9, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's ridiculous value for Jefferson at those levels.
yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think that my other target I wanted to mention before we move on to our next category is Garrett Wilson. I kind of feel like it's the same way as Jefferson, but in reverse. He had no quarterback play at all the first 2 seasons in the league, and he's been tremendous. Now he gets Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if it's going to be the Aaron Rodgers of the past, but either way, that's a huge upgrade. So I'm all in on Garrett Wilson this year. 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons. I think he's going to break that 100 reception yard total mark this year as well. So that's another guy I like a lot this year.
Yeah, love him. Love him.
All right, let's talk about the flip side of things now, Todd. How about fades? Anybody you're just avoiding, you're letting somebody else draft, anybody you just don't want any part of this receiver spot?
I think at the value they're going at now in the drafts I'm seeing, there's a couple guys. Cooper Kupp, I love, as a player, but I feel like Puka Nacua has kind of come in there and taken that number one role. So I think, Kupp's sliding back. He's getting a little older. He had a lot of injury issues last year, and he still seems to be going pretty high for me, like third, early fourth round, which is a little rich for my blood. I mean, I'm thinking he's more in the 5-6 range probably, which is why I probably will never have him on my teams. But another guy too is, a rookie, which Neighbors, who I love as a player, but his situation is not good in my mind. Now, I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I guess maybe that's a little biased towards the Giants, but I don't see Daniel Jones as a franchise quarterback. And I just don't see him being able to put up the numbers for the price he's going for now, which, he's going in the fourth round too, which in dynasty, yeah, great. Or, if it's a startup league or something like that, but redraft, I don't see him returning fourth round value when there's other guys that are, probably have better situations and as much talent.
Yeah, for sure. I think Kupp's going to be a polarizing fantasy figure this year. I'm kind of interested to see what happens with him here. I'm the same with you. It's a price tag for me. If I can get him, really late, 7th, 8th round, I'm good. But man, I don't know. I'm scared, just like
Yeah.
you. So my fade too is an older guy, and that's the main reason. It's Mike Evans. I just worry about him. He's 31 years old, led the league in receiving touchdowns last year, so that really boosted his fantasy numbers, but his catches were down a little bit. So if he sees a slight regression in touchdowns, receptions, and yards, I think his numbers could really take a fantasy hit. So that worries me. I just worry about guys aging out a little bit, and I think Evans could be one of those guys. So that's one guy I'm kind of scared of a little bit. You have any thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, he's been going too a little early for me. I think he still has a lot of talent, obviously, and he's until I see a guy start failing, which I didn't really see in him last year. And Baker Mayfield is, a solid quarterback. He's certainly not in my top, 15 or 20 quarterbacks probably, but he got the ball to Evans enough. And I think just based on that team, I don't think they're great at running the ball. So I think they're going to be throwing it anyway. So he may hang in for another year, but I agree with you. Yeah. Once they hit 30, I'm always a little wary of do I want to be the guy that has him in the third round this year when he falls off? I don't want to be that guy. So I probably won't have him much either.
Exactly. That's the same way I feel. So let's move on to another category. Let's talk about breakout candidates. So somebody you think might be ready, take their game to a new level, maybe be one of those fantasy difference makers this year. Do you have any guys you're targeting that fit that category?
I do. I like Jahan Dotson this year a lot. I think, I'm in Pennsylvania, so I'm a Penn State guy. So I watched him play in Pennsylvania, in college. And, he's a very talented guy. Just had, I think, a bad situation last year, as most of the Redskins did, with Sam Howell quarterback. It just wasn't going to happen. And Jaden Daniels, I feel like, is, has got a world of experience. And even though he's a rookie, I think he's a vast improvement over Sam Howell. So I just think their whole passing game is going to be better, and offense in general. So I think he could break out. I mean, again, push 1,000 yards, maybe, 60, 70 catches, maybe get back to his like 7 touchdowns he had as a rookie, which again, for me in the mid round, I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, for sure. So I had him as one of my late round picks. So you and I are thinking alike here, Todd. I like Dotson a lot. I think his price tag's great. His ADP is 148 right now. And like you said, just not a great situation last year. I kind of like McLaurin too, just because of the same reasons.
Agreed.
He's a little more expensive, but I think both those guys are kind of intriguing this year.
Yeah, and Eckler going to there as well. I mean, I think he's got upside as I think their whole running game has more upside now with Jaden Daniels, because obviously teams are going to have to focus on him running kind of, the Lamar Jackson scenario, and hopefully that will open up their running game as well, which should help their passing game. So yeah, I'm again, it's Redskins. I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't want to like all these guys, but I do. I like their situation this year. So hopefully it works out.
For sure. So my breakout candidate is Jamison Williams. I like him a lot. He's been injured, suspension issues, but they're raving about him in camp. Just a big play threat and a great offense. He should be starting from day one this year, I hope. He showed some of that potential last season as well to have those big games. Really like him in best ball formats more so than normal ones. But overall, I think he's worth taking a chance on this year. I'm hoping he pushes that 1,000-yard mark. So I'm expecting big things from Jamison Williams this year. And I think his stock's down a little bit because of the first 2 seasons. So I'm kind of all in on him this year. Interesting to see what happens with him.
Yeah, I agree with you. He would have been one of my, he was on my list for breakouts. So we are, I think, thinking the same way. I'm not sure if that's scary for you or me.
I know. Hey, you're a good player, so I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I basically write his first year off as, with the injury, and, that was kind of, so last year essentially was his rookie year to me. And, by the end of the year, they were definitely using him more, incorporating him, using him on reverses, even things like that. So I think his speed is going to play this year. And, I'm going to try to get him in all the leagues I can as well for the right price for sure.
All right, let's talk about late round flyers. Everybody loves a sleeper. Somebody can get late in the draft that ends up surprising. You got anybody that fits the bill for that category there, Todd?
Yeah, I do actually. I like, and I'm big on this rookie class of receivers. I like a lot of the guys in this class, but one guy I don't think gets very much talk is Roman Wilson going to Pittsburgh, out of Michigan. I mean, he's played in a championship type program in a major conference and was a good player. He runs great routes, and Pittsburgh is kind of desperate for a number 2 receiver. I mean, Pickens is a solid talent, and but I sometimes worry about his head and maturity level, those kind of things. The quarterback play has to be better than it was last year. So I think here's a good path for Roman Wilson to become basically Deontay Johnson. He can bring everything Deontay Johnson brought to them, and you can get him way late, honestly. Even in the TFC drafts that are 20 rounds, I've been getting him 17th, 18th round. You know what I mean? So if I can get a number 2 guy on an offense, any offense, I'll take it, in the 17th, 18th round.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's, when you look at late round flyers, in my opinion, or sleepers, it's all about opportunity, because there's a lot of situations where it's kind of undecided, and that's one of them right there. And some people have talked about Calvin Austin as well. I don't know if I trust him as a number 2. I think he's more of a slot guy. So in Pittsburgh, I think it comes down to opportunity. And one guy I like because of that is Demario Douglas of New England. I don't like that offense a whole lot, but man, somebody's got to be the number 1 receiver. Maybe he steps up, becomes that number 1 guy. His ADP is 192, so that's super late. So why not? He had double-digit fantasy points 5 games last year, showed some potential with a bad QB situation. So if he ends up being the number 1 guy, which I think is possible, at least lead the team of targets, I think he's worth the risk at that point of the draft.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think if it comes down to it, for me, I would take Jalen Polk over him. If they're both there, honestly, I think Douglas is good. I mean, he has talent, but again, like you said, are they going to be able to sustain one great receiver or good receiver with that offense, with the quarterback play, and knowing who knows? I don't even know who's going to be the quarterback. Is it Brissett? Is it May? Who's starting?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. And somebody's going to break out. Somebody's got to be their number 1. He's got as good a chance as anybody.
Yep. You talked about a rookie receiver with your late round flyer. Let's talk about that rookie class now. I think there's a lot of good options, especially even not the elite guys that went early, but I think there's some guys that went later that could end up making an impact, and you can get later come draft day as well. But are there any rookies that you're getting on a lot of your rosters this year? I know you just mentioned won the Roman Wilson with Pittsburgh. But anybody else that you're kind of targeting?
Yeah, I'm all in on Lad McConkey. All in. Like
You picked my guy again.
I took him again. Sorry, man.
We're all on the same page, Todd.
All right. But yeah, I think his opportunity, is just tremendous. And, he's was a difference maker on a, 2-time national championship team. And, he was a great player in the SEC, which is arguably the best conference in college football. So he clearly can play against high-level guys, you know what I mean, and make a difference. And he's got a great quarterback. I mean, I guess the argument against him is how much are they going to throw with Harbaugh and the running game. But honestly, I think Harbaugh, when he gets back in the NFL, is going to realize to himself, you know what, this is not Michigan. I can't probably run the ball down everybody's throat, and I don't really see their running game. I don't think they have a difference maker in their backfield. I mean, they got 3 guys that are probably going to rotate. I'm definitely staying away from their backfield, which is why I think he's eventually going to realize, look, Herbert's my best player. I probably should be throwing the ball more, and I think they will do that. So yeah, I like McConkey, Quentin Johnston too.
You like who else do you like?
Quentin Johnston.
Oh, you like him too?
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a chance. I know he's not a rookie, but I feel like somebody's got to catch balls there, and he's super talented. I watched a lot of TCU. I watch a lot of college football too as well. And, he has talent. I don't know what happened last year. I mean, it was hard to say what happened with the Chargers last year, but they just couldn't get it done. But hopefully this year will be different with better coaching.
Yeah, a new coaching staff definitely can make a difference to a player like that who struggled his rookie year. So it's interesting to see if he can rebound. Definitely has a talent. I agree with you there. So you said Lad McConkey. I'll give you another guy I like because of opportunity too. It's Keon Coleman. Like him a lot in Buffalo. He's really funny on the X2 and all his post on there, and he seems like a good guy. But regardless, I think he's in a great spot for playing time. Stephon Diggs is gone. Gabriel Davis is gone. I know they signed Curtis Samuel, but I think Coleman's got a chance to do a lot of good things in the red zone, especially he's a big receiver. He can make the acrobatic catch. He does well on the deep ball too. So I know he lacks a little top end speed, especially for his size and strength, but still, I like the situation. I think he's in a great spot with Buffalo to get a lot of playing time in year one. So that's another guy I'm kind of looking at besides McConkey, but I love McConkey. I have a ton of stock of him already. I think his price tag is going to just keep going up as we get closer to the season too, though.
Yeah, agreed.
For us.
Yeah.
All right, Todd. Well, that was the receiver preview for this year. I appreciate you coming on. A lot of fun talking with you. I think we learned a lot of great things for the coming season at the receiver spot. So hopefully everybody puts it to use. But again, I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me, Jeff. Good luck to everybody this year, except in our league. Not you.
Exactly. Yeah, Todd Yost. That was Todd Yost. He's a 14th ranked player on RTSports. Won the postseason shootout in 2022. Took home $50,000. All right. Thanks again to everybody for watching this receiver preview. With one more to go, the tight end spot that'll be coming up soon. And we'll have another great RT Sports player on to preview that position. But this has been Jeff Paur with RealTime Fantasy Sports. Good luck in all your leagues this year. Thanks a lot.